When you shoot events, sports, portraits, and YouTube content, like the way I do, eventually you get to a certain point where one lens start doing almost everything. And that was what the Canon RF 24-105 F4 L IS USM lens was doing. I lived on my Canon R6 Mark II and my Canon R8 almost every single day. But recently, I decided to trade it in for something more specialized, something that elevates both my video and photography when I need a lot of reach and compression and even more details when it comes to shooting. That is when the Canon RF 70-200mm F4 L IS USM lens comes into the picture. This review is about why I made that trading and got the Canon RF 70-200mm F4 and replaced it with my Canon RF 24-105 lens. This lens fits perfectly into my RF collection and what it means for the kind of work that I do and create, from ceremonies and graduation to portraits, sports events coverage with my Canon R6 Mark II. My name is Abeku. If you like very world camera and lens review, consider subscribing to this channel. Let's zoom right into it. Why did I decide to trade in my Canon RF 24-105 F4 lens for the Canon RF 70-200mm F4 lens? My RF lens collection already includes the 60mm f2.8, 50mm nifty 50 lens, the 28-70mm f2.8 lens, and then the 45mm f1.2 STM lens, which I'm using to record this kind of video. So naturally, it then means that I was overshadowed and underwhelmed by how much of a reach that I can get. The 24-105 was actually overlapping with most of this kind of prime lenses and other lenses that I have. Sometimes when I'm shooting sports, the 24-105 can work absolutely great, especially for a lot of shootings and diverse angles. But when it comes to the exterior points of contact, especially when I'm shooting football, you realize the athletes might be far away at the exterior point of the field. And so the 24-105 became a little bit difficult to reach that kind of range. So sometimes what I do is that I use a 1.6 crop factor, which can work extremely nice, but you can also realize that because it is cropping into the sensor already, which is a 24 megapixel, you are losing a lot of details. And that is why the 70-200mm f4 lens became an important addition to my lens kit. I wanted more stronger background compression for portraits and also even for graduation ceremonies and tighter coverage. This works perfectly on both my Canon R6 Mark II as well as my Canon R8 for hybrid shooting. Now the unboxing experience on the Canon RF 70-200mm f4 lens is just really great. Minimal Canon L glass series packaging, which is fantastic and great. You have the lens itself, you have lens hood, you have pouch, you have manuals. It is light and surprisingly, for the first impression, extremely compact. And also I like that immediately feels premium and well engineered, especially if you look at this kind of lens. One of the things that really impressed me on this Canon RF 70-200mm f4 lens has to do with the fact that the build and design on this lens is absolutely great. The F-series weather sealed construction and rugged build makes it more reliable, especially when I'm shooting. It is also compact, extending zoom that is designed to make it more portable. It weighs around 695 grams, and so it's extremely lightweight for a 70-200mm lens. It uses 4 UD elements for cleaner color and reduced chromatic aberration. It also has air spheric coating, which helps to control flare and ghosting when you are shooting outdoors. I use it to shoot outdoors for someone graduation video, and it performs amazing, especially when the sun was blazing hot in this environment that we find ourselves. And shooting direct into the sun, even though there were flares, but they were very minimal, extremely reduced, to the point that the image that came out of this was just really beautiful and smooth. It has smooth control, especially when it comes to the zooming, and also it's classic for the RF precision. It looks really beautiful. It looks great when it paired with the Canon R8 or even the Canon R6 Mark II, which is rigged out. This lens is just really great in terms of the build quality. Autofocus performance of the Canon RF 70-200mm f2.8. This is an L glass, and when I was using my Canon RF 24-105, I realized that the performance of that lens, especially with the autofocus performance, was just absolutely insane. It is fast, quiet because of its dual nano USM models for quick, smooth and silent autofocus. It lets you get as close as 1.97 feet with 0.28 magnification at 200mm for detailed and close-up range. This lens really performs incredible when it comes to autofocus performance. It has excellent eye tracking when shooting. At 200mm, footage always stays sharp with strong contrast and subject separation. It gave beautiful compression for portrait, which is something that I was actually really yearning for when it comes to a lens like this. And with the 24-105, the moment you hit 105, you cannot extend the zoom again. And that means that was the furthest I could go with that kind of lens. And so having this 70-200mm at 110mm above, which is way above the 24-105, it means that I'm getting detailed, nice creamy bokeh shot that gives impressive results. Now to the image stabilization, I paired this lens with the Canon R8, which has no in-body image stabilization. And that was when this lens, Canon RF 70-200mm f4, became a hero of the day. This lens alone gives you up to 5 stops of image stabilization, which is already strong for a telephoto zoom. And when you pair with the Canon R6 Mark II, it gives you around 7.5 stops of image stabilization. And the Canon R8, which has no eye base, it still gives you 5 stops of image stabilization from the lens alone. And that means that you are getting clean, stable handheld shots for both video and photos. I was able to get great stabilization with this kind of lens. It controls shake extremely well across both cameras, especially for events, ceremonies, portrait shooting, and outdoor shooting. This lens became a champ and a monster of its name. So getting this lens, RF 70-200mm f4, the intention was basically to shoot portraits with tighter framing and deeper compression, which is something that I've already been able to achieve over the past couple of months. And for sports coverage, especially for basketball, for football, for soccer, the Canon RF 70-200mm is going to be a great addition, especially when the season opens for me to go and shoot. One thing I've come to really appreciate about this lens is that it has become my favorite lens to shoot thumbnail photos. So most of the thumbnail photos that you're seeing with my recent videos were shot with this kind of lens. And that means that it's giving deeper compression, beautiful background separation, and crispy detail at f4, which is really great for the kind of thing that we do on this kind of channel. Ultimately, this lens, Canon RF 70-200mm, complements my RF lenses. It pairs perfectly with my 28-70mm f2.8 as a complete event and wedding combination. So a good addition, especially when you are doing a lot of storytelling using the 60mm f2.8 and the 50mm f1.8, which are very small and compact lenses. So when I decided to trade my 24-105 f4 lens, it became really a headache for me. That lens became the lens that I started shooting with and also stayed primarily 90% of the time on my Canon R6 Mark II. The RF 70-200mm f4 fit perfectly into my bag and collection and helps me to get incredible performance in terms of photos and videos that I would generally not be able to get because this lens is more specialized, and especially from 120mm all the way to 200mm, I'm getting great separation, amazing videos, and incredible photos. If you enjoyed the video, kindly subscribe to the channel. My name is Autofocus and I'm going to see you in the next video. Peace out.